transport sector. Thank you, Mr Speaker.
Speaker.
Darian Fenton.
Thank you. I'm pleased to take the opportunity to make a contribution in the third reading of the Road User Charges Bill. I have been through the process of the Select Committee with the Chair, David Bennett, and he's back. He's back. And actually, I did notice a very conciliatory approach to the committee this morning, which I thought was very welcome, actually. And we look forward to a much more inclusive approach to concerns from the major party of the opposition. And so, I'm looking forward to this year, actually. I think that, that we've got work to do, there's no doubt about that. But the Road User Charges Bill, the Labor has repeatedly raised our concerns about this bill. We raised it in Select Committee. We voted against two parts of the bill in Select Committee. We raised them in all the readings in the committee stages. And it's fair to say that we still continue with those concerns, Mr Speaker, even though we are intending to vote in favour of this bill, because we believe that the good things in the bill outweigh the concerns that we have. Now, my colleague Phil Twyford talked quite a lot about our first concern, which is about the shift from nominated weights to gross weights as the basis for charging road user charges. And so I won't go into that too much, but I wanted to address our second concern, which is the one about regulations being signed off without public debate or consultation. And the concern from the industry was, first of all, that there had been very little consultation about this bill itself when it came in, and that was reflected in all of the submissions that we heard. And the second concern was that they're going into this whole new regime in the dark. They have no idea, very poor indications of what it might mean. So that's why we have seen concerns from some of the major players like the Motor Caravans Association, but also I don't think that David Bennett can tell the Labor Party to get into the real world when we had similar concerns from companies like Fonterra, one of our most successful companies in New Zealand, Toll New Zealand, expressing similar concerns, and then a range of small to medium trucking firms. And also, in the submissions, concerns expressed by some of those who are trying to work in the industry to modernise it through using new technology. So I think it's a bit poor to sort of light them off as not being important and saying Labor's not in the real world. And in fact, Labor did go and speak to many of these organisations. We took the trouble, and I'm not sure that the government did, but we certainly took the trouble to go and visit Toll New Zealand, Fonterra, A1 Movers, a whole range of organisations, and I must say my education about road user charges it is fantastic, isn't it? That's really good, but their concerns have continued, Michael Woodhouse, they continue, and I don't think that we have reached resolution in this bill in its third reading that lays those concerns. I also found it really, really interesting that the member David Bennett, I nearly said David Benefit, I'm sorry, nearly said David Benefit. I know, that's right, the wrong committee. But I found it a bit rich, Mr Speaker, that he was talking about, how the Parliament can't set the rates and so on. When we think back to what happened in 2008, which was the massive, the big truckie strike, and which was really political. Actually, it was driven by the Road Transport Forum, and it was obviously designed to destabilise Labor in the period coming up to the election. And the then minister, the formidable Annette King, had made a decision that she would not advertise and consult with the changes to road user charges, because if she did, there would be upfront buying. And the Crown would lose, I think it was around about $17 million. So, it's interesting. And she made that decision and she made it in the interests of New Zealand taxpayers, so there could not be that sort of thing happening. Now what we've got is the government is justifying increasing road user charges and changing road user charges through regulation without, there may well be consultation, but it's not clear in the bill about how that public consultation will take place. And certainly the submissions that we had from the industry, we heard from the industry, and the discussions that we've had with them, is that they're very concerned about the breaking of a basic democratic principle that there should be no taxation without representation. So it is ironic that we went through all of this in 2008 and the National Party took the high moral ground, and here we are in 2012 passing a bill that actually does away with the right for consultation for changes in road user charges. And I hope that the Honourable Annette King will have a chance, and I'm sure she will, to make a contribution on this bill, because I think she'll have some things to say about that, because she was actually in the forefront of that. She was in the firing line at the time. We know these things are complicated. Labor's much more understanding party of the government than the National Party was when we were in government, so we tend to try to be cooperative about it. But there is a fear about, well, I think the fear is still there in the industry, which is what do these charges actually mean? They don't know. And so then you get the examples from the various examples that have been given in this debate from various organisations, real concern about the increased costs to small business, but medium-sized business as well, real concerns about that, and leaving the industry in the dark. So here we are, passing a bill in its third reading where the industry still has no idea what the change in these charges are going to mean. So I think it is, as I said, pretty rich of the government to now say we can't possibly do any of this stuff because it's too difficult, we can't pass it in Parliament, when they were right there, boots and all, encouraging the industry in 2008 because they saw a political advantage, and in fact, and now they're justifying it. So it will be interesting, I think, Mr. Speaker, to see exactly how the industry responds. And I think there will be winners and losers. I fear that the winners are those who are in the big trucks, and I think, the losers will be those in the small parts of the industry who are just trying to get on with business and make a living. I think that there will be concerns that start to be raised. But I think the other thing that underlines this whole thing, we're very supportive of road use charges. It's a very unique system in the world. It's a system that we should be proud of, and in fact is being adopted by other countries now as they realise that tax on diesel and petrol is not going to look. As they realise that tax on diesel and petrol is not actually going to deliver the income needed to continue to build.
The time has come for the House to rise, and this debate is interrupted and set down for resumption next sitting day, and accordingly the House stands adjourned until 2 p.m. on the 14th of February 2012. Have a good weekend, everybody.